Hello. Today we are going to review right prisms, and we know that right prisms are three-dimensional figures that have lateral sides, which would be the sides like right here, and would be like here, and then they have what's called a base, and the base is usually, if this is a triangular prism, this is the triangle. A rectangular prism, it could be any of the rectangles that it is sitting on. We usually call it the base because it's sitting on it, but unfortunately with triangular prisms, it really is kind of hard to sit them on their base and work with them. Many times you'll see them sitting on their side. But the base of a triangular prism is the triangle. The base of a rectangular prism is one of the rectangles. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, you should have a worksheet that has these figures in them, and you're to fill out the information that I've added. So this is an example of a rectangular prism. On a rectangular prism, it has 6 faces, it has 4 lateral sides, and then it has 2 ends. So it's 6 altogether. And then the base is always going to be a rectangle. And if I were to label the sides, you'll see that I have labeled it length, width, and height. You'll also notice that I use a cursive H with the height. That is because this is a three-dimensional figure, and eventually we are going to have more than one height that we're talking about. And so the height of the prism, I always use cursive H, and the height of a two-dimensional figure, I always use a printed H. So the formula for finding the volume of a right rectangular prism is volume is length times width times height. So it'd be the length times the width times the height. This is an example of a triangular prism. It's so called because the base is a triangle. And so I have colored in the base so that you can see it. Doesn't always sit on the base. For the triangular prism, many times it's held off to the side. This happens to be a right triangle base, and it has a height, and it has a base to the triangle. These bases are different than these bases because this is a two-dimensional, and this is for the third dimensional. This means area of the base. So the capital B is area of base. Okay. We know that if I were to find the area of this triangle, I would need to take 1/2 the base times height. I know this is height because this is the one of the legs of a right angled triangle, and this is going to be the base. It's the other leg, and it doesn't matter which one you use for the height and which one you use for the base. You can write it 1/2 base times height, or you can write it base times height divided by 2. Either one is fine. And then you're going to take that and you're going to multiply it by the height, which here, we show it down here. It could also be written up here. It's fine. But you'll notice that I use the cursive H. So the formula is volume equals the area of the base times the height of the prism, or volume equals of the base times height divided by 2 times the height of the prism. Let's practice some. So here we have a rectangular prism, and I see that I have a 2, a 3, and a 5. And it really doesn't matter which one I create, but it does help if I could just color in a base. So I'm going to use this rectangle as my base. I could use any of them. It doesn't matter which one, but this is the one I've chosen. And so let's say that this is the width, and this is the length, and this is the height. Remember that it's length times width times height. So I'm going to take my 5 times my 2 times my 3. Or I could take 3 times 2 times 5, Or I can take 2 times 3 times 5. It really doesn't matter what order it is. And that's 10. 10 times 3 is 30. And then because it is volume, it is cubic feet. We take a look at this one. It's another rectangular prism, and it doesn't matter which one I use for my base. Let's use this one. One of the reasons I color these in is it seems like sometimes like the walls or the lines move, but once I have highlighted what I want to be my base, then it's like this cube becomes stationary and I can see it better. So I have my 8, my width, and I have my height. So knowing it is length times width times height, I'm going to take 8 times 10 times 7, and 8 times 10 is 80, times 7 is 560. So my volume is going to be 560 cubic yards. Volume is always cubed. So this is an example of a triangular prism. And again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight what I see as my base. Because it's a triangular prism, I know that my base is always going to be the triangle. Alright, so focusing just on, because I know it is the area of my base times my height of my prism, I want to identify the parts of my base. So area of my base is base times height divided by 2, right? So my base is this line right here. And because it's not labeled, I take a look at this side, and it's a rectangular side. And so I know that that is the same length as that. And so my base is going to be 12. My height, see this right angle? So my height of my triangle is going to be 7.5. And then I'm going to divide that by 2. So I'm going to take my 12 times 7.5, and that gives me 90. And divide 90 by 2, and I get 45. So the area of my base is 45. The height of my prism is here. It's how tall it is. If it's sitting on its face, how tall is it? And so my H is going to be 6. Because my volume is base area of the base times my height of my prism, I'm going to take 45 times 6, and I get 270. Because it is in feet, it is 270 cubic feet. We take a look at number 11. I have a triangular prism, and I need to determine what my base is. And so I'm going to use this as my base. This is the height of my prism, or height of my base, sorry about that. And it is 2.3. So my base is 10. My height of my triangle is 2.3. The height of my prism is 12. So I need to find the area of my base. So I'm going to take 10 times 2.3 and divide it by 2. And I get 11.5. And I'm going to take my 11.5 times my height of my prism, which is 12. And that gives me 138. It's in inches, so it's inches cubed. And that is the end of the review for right prisms. If you have any questions, please make sure you talk to your teacher. Thank you.